guys, welcome back. Today we are going to show you how to bake something now. So we've done some cooking lessons. Now we're actually going to bake something. So these are our sweet treats that you're going to like.
Yum.
So while looking at the things that we had on our counter, noticed we had some bananas that were getting a little ripe. Rachel will not eat them like that. So that's our cue to turn them into some sweet treat. So a recipe that we found a couple of weeks ago that everyone really liked were called banana chocolate chip bars.
Didn't we eat?
So
Didn't we make those before?
we did. We made them a few weeks ago. So for this recipe, you're going to need about 5 to 6 ripe bananas, 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, 1/4 of a cup of oil. We'll be using canola oil. 1/4 of a cup milk, 2 eggs, 1 3/4 cups flour, a teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 of a teaspoon of salt, 1 1/2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and then 1/2 a cup of mini chocolate chips.
Cinnamon.
So these are the ingredients that we'll need for the recipe. The first thing that you should always do is look to see what temperature you need to turn your oven on for a recipe. For this one, it's 350 degrees. So we're going to set our oven for 350 degrees and let that preheat while we mix up our ingredients. That way it'll be at an even temperature when we put in our pan. Another thing we have to do is grease our pan. This is a 10 by 15 inch pan, so it's a little bit bigger than a 9 by 13 inch pan. If all you have is a 9 by 13 inch pan, you could certainly use that. They're just going to be a little bit thicker and you'll probably need to cook them for a little bit longer. Okay, so we're going to spray that with our baking spray. Any cooking spray will work for this. Hold it out and spray your pan. That's good to go. All right, now what we're going to do for this is mix our wet ingredients first and then add our dry ingredients to that. So your first step is to mash your bananas. I'm gonna let Rachel do this.
Wait, what?
Because this is the fun part.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to peel our bananas. Step back a little bit.
Okay.
Get them on a plate. I don't think Rachel will touch these with her hands though.
No.
So we're going to do 6 bananas because that's what I had, and I want to use all of them up.
Waste food.
5 bananas are fine.
You don't want any waste. You don't want to waste food.
Right. If you only have 4, you could do this with 4. I would add just a little bit more oil, and it's not going to have as much of a banana taste to it, but it'll still be fine.
So you're saying that 5 and 6 bananas are like the number 1?
Yes, correct. So what we're going to do with our bananas is just take a fork and mash them down. Think you can do that?
Yeah, I think I can do that.
All right, we'll set you over here.
Yeah.
You mash up while I add some other ingredients. Okay, so the next thing that we need is 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. So I'm going to measure this. How's smashing coming over there?
Pretty good. It's just kind of gross.
Okay. So we are going to pack our brown sugar. What that means is to press down the brown sugar so it's firm. Most recipes call for packed brown sugar, so make sure you do that step, otherwise you won't have enough sugar in them. Okay, next thing is 1/4 of a cup of oil.
This is a hard banana.
Do the best you can. Okay, so 1/4 of a cup of oil added to our brown sugar. Next is 1/4 of a cup of milk. Again, any kind of milk would work for this. It doesn't have to be whole milk.
Yeah, Mom, this fork's getting all mushed up.
All right, I'll help you in a second. Okay, we add our milk. Now we need 2 eggs.
Yeah, this is nice.
If you're not confident in your ability to crack eggs, crack them in a measuring bowl or a cup first. Check it for shells and then dump it in.
Yeah, you don't have shells in your cakes or
Right.
treats.
It's easier to pick the shells out of the cup than it is out of the bowl. Okay, so we've got our eggs added to that. Next we need flour. I'm just going to rinse my hands off. Rachel's still mashing.
Yeah, it's hard. even get this. I'm stuck.
All right. Well, that's fine. We can finish the rest.
Ew.
Okay. Well, you did a pretty good job with what you had. We'll finish mashing. Maybe
How do you
you
do it
should.
that fast with hard bananas?
I don't know. Our bananas were in the refrigerator, so they are a little bit harder than if they were sitting out on the counter. But that's probably pretty decent.
Oh, yeah. Looks like brown mashed potatoes.
Well, she's a comedian. Okay, we're going to add our bananas to our wet ingredients. All right. So that's all we've got for wet ingredients. I'm going to stir those. This is what it looks like now. I'm going to stir that up until everything's incorporated. What's nice about this recipe is you don't have to have a mixer to make it. It actually turns out better if you hand mix it, so you don't over mix it. So no hand mixer or KitchenAid is necessary for this recipe. Yep, oil's already in,
Oh, wait, what?
but you can dump in the flour.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to add 1 3/4 cup of flour. So I do the same thing that I did in our first video with the flour. Just kind of move it around and sift it in your container so it's nice.
Just don't get it too smoky. Last time it
Like
pretty much got my eye.
Okay, so there's 1 cup, and then here's 3/4 of a cup. There you go. Come on this side and dump it in.
Got it.
Got it?
Yay.
Okay, now we need a teaspoon of baking soda. Do that too.
Yay.
And here's our teaspoon. Dump that in. Got it?
I got it.
Teaspoon of soda.
Do we even have sugar in this?
Nope.
Wait,
We
there's
have,
no.
well, we have brown sugar in it.
Oh, okay.
And we need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So here you go. Dump that in.
Got it. Don't
Got
add
it?
too much salt.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, now we need to take that same 1/2 teaspoon. We're going to add 1 1/2 teaspoons of cinnamon. So there's a half.
Ooh, cinnamon. One of my favorite treats.
Okay, dump that in, then we'll fill it up. The 1 teaspoon. 1 1/2 teaspoons of cinnamon.
I love cinnamon.
Gives it a good flavor.
I love cinnamon. The cinnamon has good flavor in it. If
Okay?
you don't like cinnamon, I don't know where you would live in.
Alright, so that's all there is to it. We're going to mix our dry ingredients into our wet ingredients.
Which is like the main idea of making cake. First you get the wet ingredients, then you make the dry ingredients in one bowl, then you mix them and you stir them together.
Right, but with this recipe you only have to, you can put them both in the same bowl. You don't have to put them in separate bowls and have to wash 2 different dishes
Yeah, but I don't know if you can make them actually.
because you mashed them.
I know. That's the I don't like seeing that.
Gotcha. Now we're going to add some mini chocolate chips because bananas and chocolate chips go
Yum.
very well together.
But
So
you had the whole bag.
I did. It's about
Don't want me. I'm gonna get you.
it's about 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. We're just gonna fold those in to our batter.
I think we need more cinnamon.
I don't think we do. Okay, and then we're going to pour it in our pan.
Yum, yum.
And we'll just spread it out a little bit. All right. So now our oven is almost at 350. We were going to put it in there when it hits 350, and we will come back when we pull it out of the oven. So stay tuned. All right, we are back. So we put our chocolate chip banana bars into the 350-degree oven, and we bake them for about 16 minutes. So I think let's check and see if they're ready. All right.
Whoa.
So they look slightly brown. If you want to do a little test, you can make sure it's not too doughy in the middle. These look pretty good.
Just don't burn your hands.
We're going to pull it out and set them on a wire rack. Remember, these are going to cook just a little bit even after you pull them out, so you want to make sure that they're not too brown, and pull them out when it looks like they're maybe just slightly underdone, because they will cook in this pan as they sit out here. And making sure that they're not too overdone will keep them nice and moist and soft. And that's how we like to eat them.
Yum.
Right. All right, so now you've seen banana chocolate chip bars. Go bake something.